Hey everybody, it's Katie, and this is finally going to be August's birth story. He is 5 weeks old now. I have tried to record this many times and I keep running into problems and interruptions, but today's the day. So this is going to be the story of the midwife-assisted home birth of our second child, which for me was a total dream come true. Fair warning, this is probably going to be long and full of TMI. Just so you know what you're signing up for, I want to make sure to capture all the details for August and for our family's sort of story. All along, people told me that he was going to be born early and that the labor was going to be extremely fast, which I guess is typical for a second child. Didn't quite work out that way, but that's okay because there's a happy ending. So just to start sort of with the timeline, at 36 weeks, I had the only cervical check of this pregnancy until birthday. And at that point, I was 3 centimeters dilated, very low, very soft. Baby's head was super low. So that is why all my midwives thought that he was going to be, early and come very fast. As it turned out, approaching my due date, which was October 31st, I had about 2 weeks of prodromal labor, like this early labor, starts and stops, sort of false alarms. I was having lots of contractions in the early mornings, and I was just very uncomfortable and getting very exhausted. I had the same sort of pattern before Alice's birth, my first pregnancy. And I don't know why, but I just expected things to be different this time around, and I didn't expect to have to deal with all of that kind of anticipation and, never knowing if this was the real deal or not. And just like the amount of physical discomfort I felt at the end of this pregnancy was much worse than with my first. So my due date, Halloween, came and went. We took Alice trick-or-treating. We saw lots of friends and neighbors, and everybody was making comments about, where's that baby? I can't believe you didn't have the baby yet, all that kind of stuff, which was kind of frustrating. I woke up the next morning, which was a Friday. Mike went to work, and I was just not feeling it. I was just in really kind of low spirits, just feeling frustrated and just very uncomfortable. And Mike could see that in me, and he ended up taking off that Friday afternoon and just kind of just having a family fun day and just clear our minds. So we took Alice to the zoo. We spent the whole afternoon walking around the zoo, just having fun, honestly, just releasing stress. And it really helped me to kind of just relax and kind of enjoy that moment. That night, Friday night, so that was November 1st, we put Alice to bed and Mike and I stayed in. We were planning to just watch a movie, just kind of hang out. And I just got super emotional. I was just really, all this tension and worry about various things had been building and building. So I just had this big, messy emotional release, and I was just crying, and I just basically let it all out to Mike. All of my concerns about, going past the point where my midwife could attend my birth, past 42 weeks, concerned about, increased risk to the baby as time went on, worried about when my parents were arriving, and all of these things. I had all this sort of weighing on me. And that night, I just let it all go. I went to bed Friday night just feeling at peace with everything, finally. And just knowing that I wasn't going to have control over everything, that was okay. And just really trusting that, I wasn't going to be alone. Whatever was going to happen, Mike was going to be there for me. I had people that would back me up to deal with whatever would come, and I just really felt okay with that. So Saturday morning, November 2nd, I woke up at about 4:30 in the morning with a series of contractions, and this had been happening for over a week, that right around that early morning time slot. So I didn't really think too much of it at that point. They were following a pattern, but they were pretty far apart. I think they started off around 8 minutes apart. But I started to realize that things might be different at that point, because I got up to go to the bathroom and I had bloody show. I had streaks of red in mucus that I was passing. That was something new. That was something that happened in my early labor with Alice. So it was just sort of a little trigger that things were probably starting to move along. I went back to bed as much as I could and tried to sleep between contractions, but I was getting up to time them. I wasn't able to sleep through them, but I was trying to really get as much rest as possible. So Alice got up about 7 o'clock and I got up with her. I had contractions all day long that were about 6 minutes apart, but they were pretty manageable, and we were able to just go about a pretty normal Saturday for us. I took a bath. Mike went and got groceries, sort of a last minute like emergency run. Around 9 a.m. I believe, I called my midwife to just kind of put her on standby, let her know what was going on, but that I definitely didn't need her, her help yet. We took a walk as a family. We went to the library, and I was like hiding in between the stacks, breathing through contractions, trying to sort of keep it quiet. I think around 1 p.m. we took Alice to the playground. And at that point, things were starting, I could feel like a little bit of an increase in intensity. I was having more pain on my right side of my pelvis, like just sharp pain sort of in the bones on the right side. And so during contractions, it really helped if I put one leg up. So I kind of used the playground equipment to elevate, to put one foot up so that my knee was bent, and I don't know, it just changed the pressure and would help me through the contractions that way. So around 3 o'clock, I took a nap as best I could. Again, I was waking up during contractions, but I was still kind of able to rest. So maybe I got about 40 minutes of rest then. And all day long until this point, I had been feeling really constipated, which is not normal for me at all. And in early labor with Alice, I had like very loose stools, sort of, your body tends to like clean itself out. So that's sort of what I was waiting for to really know that that this was time. Just before 5 o'clock, all of a sudden, like the constipation eased up, my body sort of like flushed everything out, and right away, immediately, things just kicked into high gear. My contractions were a minute long, only 3 minutes apart. I was not able to talk through them anymore. I was having to vocalize. That's something I don't think I did with all of Alice's labor, period. I just didn't find that helpful, or didn't need it. But this time around, this birth, it was just a lot more intense, and that moaning through the contractions really helped me kind of focus, and also make sure I was keeping all of my muscles relaxed. Also at this time, with that kick into high gear, I moved into back labor. I was having all the pain in my back, which is how I labored with Alice as well. I didn't think lightning could strike twice with that. This baby had been in like an ideal position almost the whole pregnancy. I spent a ton of time in, on my hands and knees and in yoga positions to, promote sort of optimal positioning. And that all just was like out the window at this point. He was still in the best possible position, but again, all my pain was in my back. I guess that's just the way I'm built. I don't know. So at this point, I definitely knew it was go time. I called my midwife, and she left right away. I called a friend of ours who was coming to watch Alice and also sort of be like doula support for if Alice was taken care of. Mike made really quick pasta just for like a little bit of carb loading. Everybody else ate dinner. I was not really able to eat. I was feeling nauseated, but I tried to eat a little bit of noodles. We just tried to make sure that Alice was okay and set up with what she needed at that point. With our friend. And we also started moving over to the guest house in our backyard, which is where we had the birth, where we had things set up, just collecting sort of like last minute things that I knew I would need, and just kind of transitioning to be in that space. At 6 o'clock, my midwife arrived, and we started filling up the birth pool. I remember looking at it thinking that it just could not get full fast enough. I just needed to get in it right then. My midwife checked me, and I was at 7 centimeters, so entering transition at that point. And that was about that would have been my guess. That's about what I expected. That's the point that I felt like I was at. So just at 6 o'clock, it was starting to get dark, and I spent just a few moments sort of in the backyard, just kind of like, breathing in, kind of like taking in the whole setting. I went into the guest house and I lit a candle. In our last little update, before like labor really, picked up, I had made like a YouTube update and asked people to light a candle for me. And so I lit this candle. It became like a focal point for me through the whole experience. I had it on a windowsill, and I would just look at it and think of all the people like around the world lighting their candles too, and all the other thousands of women around the world, in labor at the exact same point. And I really got a lot of strength from that.